All right, total since starting the program, total expenses are $44,613 at 88 cents per mile, and that is my cost per mile. Total revenue is $86,357 at $1.71 per mile. That brings a profit loss to $41,744 at 83 cents per mile, and all of these loads are dry van. Welcome back to Trucking the Seven Seas. This is episode number 71, and in this episode, we're going to go over weeks 20 through 23. So we're actually going to cover 4 weeks in this episode, rather than the normal 2. And the reason why we're going to cover 4 weeks is because, well, I did try to post a video 2 weeks ago. So I filmed it, basically edited it, did everything about it, that needed to be done, processed it, and then after I got done processing it, I realized the audio was completely shot. So it was just unacceptable. So I decided I'm not even going to post that. So I did not post that video. And then basically, it just put me way behind. So as a result, I wasn't able to post a video 2 weeks ago. And then I wasn't able to get a video out last week, which means this week we're going to end up covering 4 weeks. And that's just what we're going to have to do because the audio on that last episode was terrible. So it was not worth posting. So that's why this video is extremely late, and that's why we're going to cover 4 weeks rather than 2. If you're new to this channel, welcome. I started this channel in order to show exactly what truck drivers make. We started as a company driver working for night transportation, moved on to a lease operator working for night transportation, and now we are an owner operator working for Landstar. I show all the loads I take, what the revenue is, what the expenses are, and what my net cash flow is, and I compile all this information that I put into a spreadsheet that I share with you at the end of every video. So if this is a topic that interests you, follow the channel. So a quick announcement on the diet. I'm not going to put that at the end of the video anymore. It's just a detractor from this channel. It has nothing to do with trucking, so I'm not going to put it at the end of the video. The spreadsheet's still available, so if you're interested in that, you can open it up and look at it and see how I'm doing. It's going okay. I'm down about 11 pounds right now, so I'm not going to hit the 30, that's clear, but that 30 pounds by November 1st was extremely ambitious, so I'm not too upset, but I'm still going to put the spreadsheet of the weight loss in the about section down below, so you can open it up and you can look at it, but I'm not going to do it on the video anymore because I think it just distracts. It distracts basically from the truck driving, so we're not going to do that anymore. But last episode we left off in Leesdale, Pennsylvania, so we had a multi-stopper in Leesdale, Pennsylvania, so we dropped that one, and then we found another load, I guess this load right here. This one's going from Springdale, Pennsylvania to Kalama, Washington. So nice long load, paid about $250 per mile, and decided to go over there to the Pacific Northwest because last time I was over there, I actually got out for a decent rate. So I figured it would be possible to get out for a decent rate this time. So I went ahead and I booked this one. It's extremely long load, so that's good. And it's also kind of a pleasure load because I really like the Pacific Northwest. It's where I'm from. And you can, if you want, you can also run through like Montana and whatnot. And it's just really pretty this time of year, so I went ahead and booked this one. Decent load either way, and also I just kind of wanted to go over there. So that's what we did. So we went ahead and booked this one, and now we're headed to Kalama, Washington. Okay, so we dropped that one, and we dropped it, and then we started looking for another one. Actually, we were looking for another one for a few days prior, so I do that. So I have like the load board search up, and when a good load hits the load board in the area that I'm in, it automatically pops up for me. So I had that active for about 3 days as I was going to Kalama, Washington, and nothing was popping up, nothing good anyway. So that sucks because last time I was able to get out of the Pacific Northwest for like $240 per mile, so I ended up grabbing a load in where was it? Klamath Falls, Oregon, and went to Michigan for like $240 per mile, so that was decent. And I thought I might be able to get out of here for a similar price, but unfortunately, that was not the case. So I looked and looked and looked for 3 days, and then when I finally dropped the load, kept looking, kept looking, and just nothing. It was really bad. So I just started to realize that I'm not going to get out of here for a good price, and I just finally realized this. So I looked for like 3 days on the way, looked for about a day. Uh, when I dropped the load, I looked for like the morning, so I spent the entire morning just kind of waiting, hoping something was pop up. But it was quite clear that no miracle load was going to save me. I was just going to have to bite the pillow and get out of here. So with all that said and done, with that in mind, I guess, I went ahead and I booked this load right here. So this one's going from Corvallis, Oregon to Menifee, California. I booked this load because, well, there was nothing else to book. So you'll notice the price there is about $1 per mile. Uh, yeah, and that's actually correct. So I did end up booking a load for $1 per mile. And trust me, there just was no other choice. I looked for a very long time and just nothing was coming out of the Northwest. So I just said, okay, I can book an okay load to like Twin Falls, Idaho, or like Salt Lake, but then I'm going to be in the same boat where I have to book a crappy load, probably down to California anyway. So I just decided to just completely bite the pillow, book this load from Corvallis to Menifee, and that's what I ended up doing. So, yeah, fun note. I did go to college in Corvallis, so it was kind of a throwback to that age. So off topic there, but I did go to college at Oregon State University. I got a degree in history, which is pretty damn useless. But anyways, I guess that was a totally unnecessary comment there. But anyway, so we booked a load for $1 a mile, and now we're headed to Menifee, California. And I can't wait to see the comments on this one. Okay, so there was that $1 per mile load. I guess I'm the problem with the industry because I just booked a load for $1 a mile, but whatever, had to do it. But it got worse because on the way down, uh, basically a couple weeks ago, my hub seal on the truck broke, and I had to get it fixed. And then I looked at my hub seal again, but this time on the other side, the wheel seal, I guess is the proper name. The other wheel seal on the other side, same axle, broke. So I had to get that fixed. So that sucked. So I was in Redding, California when I finally noticed it. So I ended up having to get that fixed. That cost me a few hours, but it didn't put me behind too much. So yeah, so this load was particularly bad because I had a maintenance expense on the way down as well. So yeah, fantastic. Anyways, though, we ended up dropping that one, and so we dropped it, and then we were in basically Los Angeles, which I'm starting to conclude I think it is the best market in the country, Los Angeles, California. Pound for pound, I think it's the best. That's just me. So we booked a load for $1 a mile to get there, and now we were in the Los Angeles area, and then I ended up finding this load right here. So this one was going from Heber, California to Florence, New Jersey, which is just a little ways outside New York, about 50 miles, 100 miles, something like that. I don't remember exactly, but New Jersey anyway. So that's a good load, 2,600 miles, paid like $250 per mile or something like that, so much better. So we went ahead and booked that one, and now we are headed to New Jersey. Let's do it. Okay, so we dropped that one, and this was Labor Day weekend, I believe. And they say after Labor Day weekend, the market kind of dips a little bit. So that was my understanding of the situation. And I think I can confirm it did dip quite a bit because I was in New Jersey, which is not a bad market, but I couldn't really find anything too good. So I was looking around. There were some. I mean, it wasn't like Pacific Northwest bad, but just wasn't very good. So I'm like, all right, it's fine. Let's just try to get back to the Midwest, which is I think the best market besides like Los Angeles. So I decided to go ahead and just book a short load for whatever price to get to the Midwest. So I ended up finding this load right here. So this one was from Tobyhanna, Pennsylvania to London, Kentucky. So went ahead and booked that one. But it ended up being a total disaster. So I booked it, got to the shipper, loaded up, and it was very heavy. It was like 45,000 pounds. So I'm like, all right, whatever. So it was just bottled water headed to a Walmart facility, and I had so I had to move the tandems basically, and the tandems were pretty tight, and it was also a heavy load. So I ended up kind of having to rock it a little bit to get the tandems to move, and I was a little rough on it. And yeah, so I did that. Went to London, Kentucky because it had a seal on it, so I couldn't actually check it. Got to London, Kentucky, and the load had shifted. So that was a bit of a problem. Basically, Walmart rejected the load when I opened the doors. I immediately realized like, oh crap, that's not good. So yeah, they rejected the load, and I ended up losing like a day and a half talking with the agent on this one and the shipper and trying to figure out how we're gonna get it reworked basically. So I mean, there was some back and forth. They're like, oh, you know, it's your fault because you moved the tandem. Okay, whatever, buddy. I was just kind of past it. It wasn't even that good of a load. So basically, yeah, he was trying to point fingers. I just kind of like, okay, yeah, I moved the tandems. What do you want? You know, get out of here. Maybe don't load 45,000 pounds plus onto a truck and expect it to work out. And the way the water was wrapped, they only put like one round of saran wrap on it. So I don't know. Whatever. I'm not going to point fingers, but either way, the load shifted. I didn't do anything too bad with it. I think it was just when I moved the tandems, I had to rock it kind of a lot to get the tandems moved because it was kind of tight. But I did get it within weight and everything. But it looks like that shifted it. So, okay. Anyways, so lost a day and a half. I had to take it to some really sketchy like facility where some guys like rewrapped it and everything. They didn't speak English. It was one of those very small. The well, I guess the shipper did pay for that, so it was like $400 to get it reworked. I haven't gotten a bill for it or anything. I don't know if I'm going to, but so far, this is like 3 weeks later as I'm filming this. Actually, I haven't gotten anything for it. So, okay. Anyways, so we did that. Brought it back to Walmart, got it unloaded, lost like a day and a half, and then finally got it unloaded. And yeah, so we got that one unloaded, and then that was just a nightmare one. While we were there, well, actually, we did end up getting an oil change while we were waiting. So, got my oil change done, and I also had the oil tested, and my headlight went out as well. So, don't know why, but my headlight just went out, and replacing the bulb didn't fix it. Basically, it looked like the mechanic said that my high beams weren't properly installed. So I started using my high beams the night before, and it looks like the high beam caused the headlight to break as well. So it was a disaster thing. I lost a headlight, the load shifted. It was just a bad couple of days on this one. Anyways, I ended up getting an oil change and then getting my headlight redone as well. So that's going to be a bill as well. So all in all, not a very good load at all. But we did get it unloaded. We got the headlight fixed and we got the oil change. And then after we got the oil change done, we found this load right here. So this one's going from Shepherd's, Kentucky, which is just down the road, to Tracy, California. So it's a pretty good one. Once again, pay decent. Not quite it was like 220 a mile, but we're headed to California, so it's okay. We can get out of there for a decent price. So I went ahead and booked this one, and now we're headed to Tracy, California. Let's go. Okay, so after that Tracy, California load, we couldn't find anything. I was trying to get back to Los Angeles, obviously. So I was trying to find something from Tracy to Los Angeles that wouldn't slow me down too much, but I couldn't find anything. So decided just to go ahead and deadhead down to Los Angeles, which is about 350 miles or something like that. Not an insignificant amount, but not a small amount either. So that's what we ended up doing. I deadheaded down to Tracy, California, and then I found another one headed from City of Industry to Kentucky. However, that one is going to be on the next week's paycheck, so week 24. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and get into the spreadsheet right now. All right, so as discussed, we're going to go ahead and do 4 weeks, and we're going to start with week 20. For week 20, we did one load. In that one load, we got 2,558 miles. We were paid a total of $4,555 for an average of $1.78 per mile. Landstar's cut was $1,645 for an average of 64 cents per mile. Fuel expenses were $1,660 at 65 cents per mile. Other expenses, workers' comp, $72, truck scan, $2, bobtail insurance, $34, license fees $369, permits $1058, plates $32, tolls $100, IFTA $105, EOBR $27, OTA $71 for a total of $461 at 18 cents per mile. Totals for week 20. Total expenses were $2,121 at 83 cents per mile. Total revenue was $4,555 at $1.78 per mile. That brought our net settlement to $2,433 at 95 cents per mile. Yeah, week 20, not much to discuss. Pretty simple. Just took that one long load for about 2,500 miles to Kalama, and that was about it. No maintenance expenses, none of that. So that was about it. So we're going to keep up right on rolling since we got 4 weeks of this. So let's move on to week 21. For week 21, we did one load. In that one load, we got 1,118 miles. Paid a total of $776 at 69 cents per mile. Landstar's cut was $198 at 18 cents per mile. Fuel expenses were $1,426 at $1.28 per mile. Maintenance expenses were $530 at 47 cents per mile. Other expenses, workers' comp, $72, bobtail, $34, license fees, $369, permits, $1058, plates, $32, physical damage insurance, $280, for a total of $433 at 39 cents per mile. Totals for week 21, total expenses were $2,389 at $2.14 per mile. Total revenue was $776 at 69 cents per mile. That brought our net settlement to negative $1,613 for negative $1.44 per mile. All right, yeah, so we had this one short load. That was the $1 per mile load. That was awesome. And then I ended up blowing my the other wheel seal again, so I had to pay for that, which caused it to be a pretty bad week. The reason why it's so bad is because I can't remember, but I think either the Kalama load or the load following this to Heber, California was done mostly on this paycheck or a combination of that. So that's why this one is so low as far as mileage goes. I did run the whole week. I didn't really take any days off or anything like that. It's just one of the longer loads. Either the Kalama one or the next one was done mostly on this paycheck. So that's why this is so low. And yeah, so terrible week. You see the fuel is extremely high. And that's because most of, I think the Kalama load was actually done on this paycheck. So that's why everything is all skewed. But that is kind of a big caveat there is, yeah, the mileage is extremely low because one of the longer loads was done on this paycheck. But with that said, let's go ahead and move on to week 22, excuse me. For week 22, we did 2 loads. In those 2 loads, we got 3,542 miles. Paid a total of $5,859 at $1.65 per mile. Landstar's cut was $2,140 at 60 cents per mile. Fuel expenses were $976 at 28 cents per mile. Maintenance expenses were $713 at 20 cents per mile. Other expenses, workers' comp, $72, truck scan $4, card fee $4, truck scan $350, bobtail $34, license $369, permits $1058, plates $32, tolls $118, APU payment $451 for a total of $730 at 21 cents per mile. Totals for week 22. Total expenses were $2,420 at 68 cents per mile. Total revenue was $5,859 at $1.65 per mile. Brought our net settlement to $3,438 at 97 cents per mile. Okay, yeah, you can see the fuel bill on this week is extremely low. That's because the previous week, this Corvallis load was the only load, and it's clear that I did most of this Heber, California load on this paycheck, and that's why this fuel bill is so low, is because it's up here on the previous week. So that's what's going on there. And this was the oil change and the headlight fix that I had to do. And yeah, that cost me a little bit. And that's about it. Yeah, this is the load where it shifted. So that's there. Didn't get charged for anything. I don't think I'm going to, but yeah, definitely partly my fault, I suppose. Got to be a little more careful with it, but okay. Anyways, that is week 22. Now let's go ahead and move on to the final week, which is week 23. For week 23, we did one load. In that one load, we got 2,414 miles. Paid a total of $3,582 at $1.48 per mile. Landstar's cut was $1,400 at 58 cents per mile. Fuel expenses were $1,348 at 56 cents per mile, and there were no maintenance expenses. Other expenses, workers' comp, $72, truck scan, bobtail insurance, $34, License fees, $369. Permits, $10.58. GOBR, $8.81 for a total of $131 at 5 cents per mile. Totals for week 23. Total expenses were $1,480 at 61 cents per mile. Total revenue was $3,582 at $1.48 per mile. That brought a net settlement $2,102 at 87 cents per mile. Caveats for week 23? There aren't any. Pretty simple. Ran this load, dropped it, picked up another one, probably got a few hundred, maybe like 600 miles down the road, and that's about it. So pretty standard week. No maintenance expenses, no surprises, and that's about it. So let's go ahead and move on to the overall now. All right, total since starting the program, total expenses are $44,613 at 88 cents per mile, and that is my cost per mile. Total revenue is $86,357 at $1.71 per mile. That brings a profit loss to $41,744 at 83 cents per mile, and all of these loads are dry van. Averages and other information. Average paycheck is $1,792. Average weekly miles is 2,166. Total fuel costs have been $24,812 at 49 cents per mile. Total maintenance costs are $7,955 at 16 cents per mile. Total other expenses are $11,846 at 23 cents per mile. Kept this up for a 52-week period. I get $93,220 and drive a total of 112,000 miles. Landstar 35% cut is equated to $32,428 at 64 cents per mile. We've had 3,009 miles of deadhead for a total percentage of 5.97% of total mileage. Been deployed 163 days or 23 weeks, 17 days off, 146 days on duty, 36 total loads. Average load length is 1,401 miles. And if you included a $500 truck payment, I would have made $30,101 or 60 cents per mile if I had a $500 truck payment. Okay, yeah, so overall, still booking those for $250 per mile. So that number is going down, and it's going to keep going down because the fuel surcharge is going down. So as fuel prices go down, my fuel surcharge is also going down. So that is going down in conjunction. But I'm spending less on fuel. I should theoretically spend less on fuel as well. So that's going down as well. And also, I'm starting to just book really long loads. So the longer loads aren't quite paying $250 per mile unless I get them out of Los Angeles. So that is going on. I'm still shooting for that 250, but I think it's probably going to drop down to about 240 shortly. Probably next week it'll be in the 240s. So that's what's going on there. Shooting for 250, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And honestly, it looks like their freight rates are also they continue to decline a little bit. So after Labor Day, I noticed there's a pretty noticeable decline in good loads. So maybe it'll pick up as we get closer to Thanksgiving and December. But I can tell you the market is still terrible. It's not good. I thought it would have improved by now. I came to Landstar thinking right about now it would have gotten better. But so far that has not been the case. It is actually getting worse in my opinion. So that's interesting. I'm going to be okay. You know, my truck's paid off, so I'm good. But my assessment right now is the market's actually getting worse. Somehow. It's somehow getting worse. Fuel prices are going down, but I don't think it's enough. It's getting worse in my opinion. So I think this number is probably going to go down to 245 or something like that, 240 maybe, and that's where we're going to be. I don't know where that's going to put me as far as this total profit loss. Currently, I'm at 83 cents per mile, which isn't very good. You know, if I did have a truck payment, you can see it right here. I'd only be making 60 cents per mile, which, you know, I may as well be a company driver at that point. You know, I'm just posting the numbers here, not ashamed or bragging, just, you know, posting the numbers so you guys can have a better idea of what's going on here. Yeah, and it's not going great. I mean, it's not like I'm going bankrupt or anything. I mean, if I keep this up, I'd make $93,000, which is good. However, that doesn't include depreciation on the truck. I am wearing down my truck right now. So there's, you know, that definitely counts. So, you know, if you include depreciation here, I mean, I don't know, this probably goes down to 75, 80,000 or something like that, which is not good, for an owner operator. But you know, it is what it is. The market's not good. But we are getting by and, you know, making ends meet, I suppose. And, yeah, but that's just my 2 cents right now. It's just not getting any better. I thought it would have gotten better by now, but it's still trash. This is still a very trash market. And if you're watching this and you're thinking about becoming an owner operator, I would not. I would not recommend it right now. I'm doing okay, obviously, but yeah, this is just not good. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, guys, other than that, there's the catch-up video. Yeah, 4 weeks, don't like doing it. It's too much. Every 2 weeks is better. But yeah, I filmed that one a couple of weeks ago, and the audio was unacceptable. So I had to just do it this way. So yeah, there's 4 weeks. We're all caught up now. I'll keep them coming every 2 weeks, unless something like that happens again, where I just film the whole thing, cut it, edit it, do everything, and then it just doesn't work. So that sucked, but that's what happened. Some of you guys commented like, "Where's the video?" And well, it got delayed. So, anyways, there's 4 weeks, and there's at this point, where are we at? About 6 months at Landstar, give or take, making 83 cents per mile. Making 83 cents per mile. So you can determine whether that's worth it or not. I'm just posting numbers. And yeah, but that'll do it for this episode. Thank you for watching. If you are interested in this spreadsheet or any of the other spreadsheets I've done in the past, they're available in the About section down below. Just open them, and then after you open them, you can hit File, Download. You can download them to a Microsoft Excel sheet, and then after you download them to a Microsoft Excel sheet, you can use them however you please. But thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.